hello, 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 hello. It's Katie Rubin. Welcome to Katie Church. It's funny, sometimes I think I shouldn't call it Katie Church because of the implications of the word church, but then other times I just love that it's Katie Church. So I'm keeping it. It's what it is. All right, we may be a teeny tiny group tonight, I guess, but hey, you're here and that's what matters. And plus, I will say these words and they will exist in perpetuity. And then later I will wish I had said other things. And and we'll work with that moment. So cool. Hi guys, good to see you. If you're here, feel free to pop some words in the old chitty chat. What do you guys think about the fact that, what do you notice about these hands? Check out the thumbs. No nails on the thumbs. You know why? When you get into this action and you're trying to run your life, texting and living our lives the way we do, how are you supposed to do that with big ass crazy nails on your hands? It's challenging. So I just cut them off because I bite them and then they go bye-bye. Let's talk about parts work. Parts work. So what is parts work and why does it work? And why has it become such an integral part of the work I do with people? It's such an important topic. Hello. I see that we are gathering forces here. So maybe I'll tap dance a little bit as we gather human beings, as human beings hop on. Hello, Bill is here. Allison's here. Rahima's here. Let us know who you are if you're here. Are you here? Who's here? Allison, I think you just emailed me. I shall email you back soon. Fear not. And hello, who else is here? Duck Bill, we know that. Who else is here? Rahima, Allison, maybe Ben's here. Maybe Ray is here. I wonder who's here. 8 people are here. Say hi if you're here. Write in the chat if you're here. I'm tap dancing a little bit just to give folks a minute to hop on so I don't start talking about this concept before humans are ready to hear it. All right, I'm diving in. So, oh my God, parts work. Cindy Foley, hello, good to see you. What is parts work and why should we do it? So, conceptually, something we have to understand as we dive into this topic is that parts of ourselves that we dissociate away from, or in psychology parlance, put into exile or repress, like any part that we don't want to feel or believe has value, or any part of ourselves that we judge, tends to get pushed back into the shadow aspect of the psyche. So another way to frame that is like energetically, you'll push the energy of, let's say, a bad thing happened to you when you were 6 and you had a lot of anger about it as a 6-year-old, but somebody in the room said, don't you be angry, I'll give you something to be angry about. So you just went into fear and panic as a 6-year-old and you squish that anger down and you hit it in the back of your nervous system. Because usually, by the way, that's what we do with feelings and parts of ourselves that we don't believe should exist. We shove them down and back, oftentimes into the spine, into the low back, into the neck. Not always, but often. And so what happens is, because that energy of anger, that emotion, because remember, emotions are just energy in motion, didn't have full expression in the moment. Let's say it was because you were scared. That's one reason. It could be just simply because when you were 6, it was too hard to process the big scary thing that was happening for you at age 6, and nobody taught you how to process it. And sometimes kids just shut down and just distract and leave their body and do a million things other than process the painful thing that's happening in the moment. So what we do instead is we just shove it down and behind us, and we don't let it come up and move through. And when we do that, those energies that don't get processed become an exiled part of self. You could say, so sometimes certain energies that become exiled or pushed down into the recesses of our psychology become just stuck, dense energies that just they somatize into like literal physical energy in the body. So that when we bring divine light to them or do some EFT tapping or just feel into them with the energy of your attention and your consciousness, sometimes what has to happen is just the energy itself has to unfurl and open. And in so doing, the energy dissolves and moves through, and you no longer have that physical block. But other times, the energy gets stuck in the form of a part of self who has literally been exiled out of, you could say, the unity of the collective consciousness of all the other parts of you. So, oftentimes when we're doing parts work, we talk about a part as a 4-year-old part, or a 6-year-old part, or a 12-year-old part, or a 15-year-old part. There's many aspects of many ages of ourselves developmentally that we can silence and stuff down and exile. We want to understand what we mean by exile here. And I'm going to open this window shade just a little bit because I want a little more light into this room. So what we mean by exile is, if you think of a whole person, an adult who's functioning very well in their lives and who's peaceful and centered and integrated, they are what we would call whole. There are no exiled parts of self. There's not like the adult Katie Rubin and then like this angry teenager and then like a sad 6-year-old and then like a sad teenager and then like a different angry 4-year-old and then a sad 1-year-old. And there's all these parts that can float around inside of our psyche. Usually for me, they are very connected to the nervous system. An integrated person, all parts of self have merged into the center of the body and therefore into the center of the consciousness, into the nervous system, so that the nervous system is cohesive. It's one functioning unit together, so that you no longer feel split off in so many directions. You no longer feel like, I could make a choice, but which part of me would I listen to in order to make that choice? I don't know if anybody relates to that feeling, but I used to feel that way all the time when I was first starting my trauma healing work for myself. I felt like people would say, well, what do you want to do? And I'd be like, well, it depends on when you catch me and which part of me you're talking to. And I wasn't schizophrenic, or I didn't have multiple personality disorder or even bipolar disorder. I just could feel, inside myself, that there were many aspects to this thing called Katie Rubin. So over the years of doing a bunch of energy healing work, the energy healing started to integrate, like move the pain and the entities and the past lives and the trauma energy out of my system, leaving me much more integrated. And then I found parts work, and I started to integrate the parts work into my own self-healing with my therapists and healers and all the people I was working with. And parts work was and continues to be, just a hugely important and integral part of this becoming whole thing, becoming an integrated whole person. So when we exile a part of self into the shadow realms of consciousness, think of it like, here's a sad 6-year-old part. Your mom says something mean to you, but you're 6 and you don't know how to process it. And some part of you goes like, that's not okay. Let's put it over here. Now this 6-year-old part who's sad lives over here in the shadows of your psyche. And really, it would probably be in your back somewhere. One day you come to therapy or you meet an energy healer and you're talking about, I don't know, trying to date people. And you're like, every time I try to date people, I push them away and I don't know why. And we start to talk and we get down to it and we realize you have a belief that says people always leave you, so there's no point in opening up. And we feel into it and we ask the divine, or I ask you, how old were you when you first started to believe that? And you realize, oh my God, I was 6 years old and it was the time my dad left and I felt so sad. And I feel like this sadness is locked in my back. And so you might think, in present time, what does my dad leaving me one time when I was 6 have to do with like my relationships now in my dating life? And the answer is sometimes fucking everything. So sometimes what needs to happen in a healing context is we need to clear the energy of a limiting belief or a core negative imprint. So you might have a limiting belief that says, got it, fucking, I can't make money because my parents didn't make money, or making money has to be hard, or I'll be alone forever. Okay. And when we go to clear that belief, we might discover underneath it is a polarized core negative imprint, or some resistance that has two parts, polarity, like we've talked about in here before. But sometimes it's not a resistance with two parts. And sometimes it's not just a stuck energy. Sometimes it's literally a part of self who got exiled in the moment. So, what we need to do with these parts that got exiled is we need to give them voice, and we need to give them room to express and to feel what they were not allowed to feel in the moment that they got exiled. And you might wonder, well, how did they get exiled and why would I exile them? Well, because again, for some reason or other in that moment, it wasn't safe for you. You were not being held correctly, or the people in the room weren't capable of holding you, or it wasn't the right time, or somebody just missed it, or a mistake happened. There's a million reasons why you weren't correctly loved, nurtured, and held in that moment. And we don't want to go to blame of other people, but we do want to say, like, we need to acknowledge that you weren't held correctly in a moment such that you could effectively process whatever was up for you. So when we, in a parts work session, meet up with or give room or voice to the part of you that got exiled, what happens is the facilitator holds space. What I love about what I get to do is I'm holding space with the light of the divine, with conscious awareness, like channeling in through your Akashic records. So I find that it just really integrates these parts faster, deeper, and like completely. Oftentimes when I work with clients who have done parts work in a different kind of context, they've learned how to give name to their parts and let their parts have a voice, but the parts don't fully integrate up into the current adult age such that you no longer have to have conversations with them. They're like something you're in dialogue with forever. But I find that when you do the parts work in an integrated way with divine light healing work, the parts fully grow up and integrate into the age that you are now, so that there's no longer a sad 6-year-old you hidden out somewhere in your nervous system or your body or your muscles. Instead, there's just a holistic 44-year-old you standing here feeling peaceful and at ease with who you are, no longer separated into many forms or many aspects of self. So when we start to let these parts speak and express what they couldn't express in the moment of the original trauma, for whatever reason they couldn't, it doesn't matter, just by making contact between you, the current day you, the divine light, and the part that has been exiled, it's like a sort of a perfect trinity of energies that your contact is your love. Because by the way, let's remember, attention is love. When you give your attention to a part of yourself who has been exiled, she feels loved. And by feeling loved, and with the facilitator in the room saying, what does she want to say to you? The part will get to express and feel and express and feel in a safe, loving container. The container, remember, is made up of the divine light I'm bringing through and just your freaking attention. Within the context of that safe container, this part can process what it was never allowed to process in the moment. And you'll watch it literally just dissipate out of your system and integrate into your current day self. It's like fucking magic. I have a couple therapist friends, and I actually have a couple friends who are in therapy with therapists who have fully switched their therapy practice into being parts work. It's the main people who do it, I think, are called IFS, or the program is called IFS. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Integrative field studies. I can't remember. I don't know. But what they're doing is parts work. And so once I discovered it, I just integrated it into my energy healing practice because it was incredibly effective. And that's what I believe in doing. You just bring in what works for people and apply it. I had the person who was doing my parts work with me when I was integrating a bunch of parts that were really exiled. She said to me, it's really different working with you because whenever we integrate a part with you, you talk about like, it's done. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that how it works with everyone you work with? And she's like, no, it really isn't. And I said, and that's when I started to explore the relationship between, the divine light alignment and the transmission of divine light and integrating the parts. And that's when I started to see in my own practice with myself, which I was then able to bring into the parts work with my clients, Oh, the divine light. Let me get words for this. Creates a kind of next level of integration possibility that just being with the part does not allow for. Look how beautiful that little shape is under my face there with these hands, with these nails. Come on. Boom, boom, boom. What? um, so once again, as much as, let me just share this with you guys. I come from a very rational family. I come from like a Jewish CEO, empiricist, scientist, skeptic dad, and an Irish Catholic, angry, empiricist, scientist, ex-Catholic mom, neither of whom were into consciousness or spirituality or any of this shit, right? So I have a mind from my childhood that is trained to be like, I mean, there's no part of me that was built in my childhood to believe in any of this kind of shit or to give a shit about divine light or conscious awareness. This is like not where I come from. Okay. I'm a total alien in my family, but I am an Aquarius and that's how we roll. My point being, the more integrated I get in my personal journey where I'm like, holy shit, parts work, so integrating, so healing. I always am asking the question, do I still need this divine light shit? Can we just move along from all the spirituality shit already? Or I got really into EFT tapping for a bunch of years and I integrate that whenever my clients need it. I use it whenever I need it. And once I was doing tapping, I was like, do we really still need this divine light shit? And then, it was like access consciousness for a long time and running the bars. And I was like, we don't need this divine light shit anymore, right? No matter what, human design. I got real deep into human design. As many of you know, I like to integrate that into all my sessions with clients now. Every new thing I learn, my mind, AKA the not self, AKA my ego, likes to ask the question, can we just like go ahead and get rid of this divine light shit? Do we really need to be spiritual? I was not raised in a context that is very fucking supportive of that. So there's some part of my, body mind organism that's like, I don't want to do that shit anymore. The truth is it's incredibly intimate and it means having a spiritual connection like the one I have. I'm not the boss anymore. I am not in charge. I'm here to serve the light, and the light takes me where the light's taking me. And I have the gate of control coming off of an open ego. So I'm always, when I'm in the not self of the open ego, which is I have to prove I have worth and value. If I go to needing to prove I have worth and value, and I have a hanging gate of control, my open ego is constantly looking for, how can I control my reality? How can I control this situation so that I'm back in charge? Me, this open ego that has no ability to control anything anyway. So my point is, I'm always asking the question on a certain level of consciousness, do we really need all this divine light shit anymore? We have all these fucking psychology tools that have become very advanced and sophisticated. Katie, do we really need all the goddamn? The answer is yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. Now, not everybody does. That's not everybody's trip. I'm not here to convert people. I'm simply here to say, when we integrate every time, let me back up. Every time I've tried to do, it's just EFT now, or it's just human design now, or it's just parts work now, it doesn't work as well. It's not as fast, it's not as deep, and it's not as integrated at the end of the process. When the divine light is integrated into the journey, when the divine light becomes part of the container holding your process, you, the client, it's like we get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-dimensional, 15-dimensional healing. Think of it this way. Spirit operates in every single direction on every vector of time space in every moment, such that time is not linear through the perspective of spirit or conscious awareness. There is no linearity from spirit. Spirit is all of this in every direction all at once. Past, present, future, all one thing. Left, right, up, down, all one thing. Man, woman, non-binary, all one thing. All there is unity, oneness, conscious awareness, and choice, okay, in the realm of conscious awareness. So if that's how consciousness works, think about how multidimensional and how much deeper and more through many vectors, how many more vectors of time space we are healing and reintegrating you when spirit is involved. When spirit is not involved, you're working on 3, maybe 4 dimensions. So this is where people sometimes think I like to shit on therapy. And I understand. In the past, I think I've spoken on the internet much more adversarially about therapy than I would today. Today, the way I would frame it is, hello, Christina, good to see you. The way I would frame it today is therapy is key and huge and very important. And I go to therapy. I have an amazing therapist who I just adore and bow to and worship so deeply. I just love her so much. And she's filling a very important role in my life. And I would not have as deep of an experience of what therapy does for me had I not anchored myself into the light. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to do 9 out of the 10 things we do together in there happen only because of my connection with spirit. You see, when I tried to do therapy, now this is not me telling you this is how you should do it or me telling you this is how people should do it. I'm just telling you what was true for me, which then shows me something about reality. Okay. When I tried to do therapy all those years ago without divine light intervention, without conscious awareness, it was working me on the 3D level, but I was injured on the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15D levels. So it was like taking a little shrimp fork and like poking a mountain of ice. Like imagine Mount Kilimanjaro and I'm with a shrimp fork with 2 prongs, like pink, 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 pink. I was like, I'm gonna be here for 50 lifetimes trying to tink, tink, tink away at this fucking iceberg. So lucky for me, I met the divine light. The divine light like sheathed off an entire half of that fucking thing in one session. And then I was like, this is the business right here. This is the business. But I have to be honest and vulnerable too and say it wasn't the only tool required. And there have been many other tools required. And as I said moments ago, the more tools I've integrated, it's 5:55. The more tools I've integrated, I've watched the way that using EFT, using parts work, using all the therapeutic tools I have in my toolkit now, in the holding space of the divine light, it's like these tools become exponentially more potent and exponentially more powerful and exponentially more healing. So that there's this very deep connection I have with self now because of spirit. That's just how it is. So let's see. Are there any other pieces I need to speak to about the parts work? I'll just wrap up and I'll just kind of like, let's touch on everything I've said today for those of you who came in a little later and just kind of restate everything about parts work. And then I'd love to hear any questions anyone has. And we'll see if we can maybe we'll do a little reading or pull a 3-card spread or something, take some questions from you guys about your lives. So parts work is when we make contact from our adult self using our attention and intention with exiled parts of self who did not get to express or process a difficult moment or moments in the past. And when we make contact from our adult self with the injured part of self, just by making contact with that part of self, the self goes, oh, that little exiled part goes, you care? You want to hear me? And then we say to it, we literally talk to the part. This is why you have to have a facilitator who kind of knows what they're doing because it helps you figure out what the fuck to say and how the fuck to do it. What would you like to tell me? And what feelings do you need to express? And the part goes, holy shit, you want to hear me? And we go, yes, please tell us. We're not going to judge you. Tell us. And the part goes, I'm sad and I'm angry. I'm sad and I'm angry. I'm sad and I'm angry. And you go, I get it. I hear you. I get it. I hear you. And then the part goes, I'm so sad and I'm so angry. And then before you know it, the part feels like it's gone. Because what's happened is the feelings that the part has been carrying integrate into who you are now and become part of the totality of you rather than being an exiled separate thing. Anything we separate ourselves from becomes something that is running our lives from behind the scenes. And by the way, that's how resentment works too. And that's how lack of forgiveness works. And that's how fear works. Anything that you resist in the people in your life, people come into your life and you go like, oh, I don't like that about them. They shouldn't have that. I'm going to push that away inside myself. I might outside have a smile on. Hi, good to see you. But inside I'm going, I hate that. Ew, push that away. That person's envy or judgment or intensity, whatever it is you're pushing away in someone else and not including into you, becomes a part of you that you are pushing away from you. So whenever someone triggers you, you want to say to yourself, like, what part of how they were behaving reminds me of a part of me that I have exiled? For me, sometimes when people get super intense at me, I just go like, why are you so intense? And then I have to go like, okay, I'm afraid of my own intensity. I'm exiling my intensity. Excuse me. So then I just feel into, where's my intensity? Okay, I'm going to expand around it. I'm going to allow my own intensity. And then I'm going to receive this person's intensity, and then it's less intense. That's how resistance works. And so parts work is just like a fast way to reintegrate everything that we have exiled. What, you might ask, is the point of reintegration? To feel whole and at peace. Spiritual practice, energy work, psychological healing, it's all to make you feel at peace with yourself and to make you feel okay with who you are and to just have a sense of peace in your waking moment to moment experience of being alive. I never thought I would know what it was like to walk around this earth just like at ease with myself. I mean, I wanted that and I pursued it very intensely, and that's why I have it now. But I should say I didn't know what it would feel like. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't know what it would feel like. And it's a real trip and a half to feel at peace with myself after all of the parts that were so separated from me and so exiled out, and after all of the trauma that needed to integrate and process through. So anyway, I can speak from personal experience about how beautiful it is and how nice it is to have peace. It's been a ride for sure. I have in therapy, one of the things I talk about regularly is how odd it is to feel at peace. How I'm kind of like, is this okay? Like, shouldn't I be upset about something? Shouldn't there be a problem? Like, what's the, I'm so used to digging and clearing and healing. And it's a real new adventure to live this life from a peaceful place. And it means I have to protect that peace now. I behave in ways and I make choices in my life that support the maintenance and the well-being of my peace. It's very important to me. Another way to frame that is my connection to spirit, or my connection to myself, my true essential self, which is merged with spirit, is the most important thing in my life. And it's very interesting. I'm on the dating apps now and I'm going on dates with gentlemen, people. And I find that like anybody whose energy field disrupts my peace or my relationship with spirit has to go. Anybody whose life is so chaotic that it pulls me out of alignment in a way where after we hang out, I have to come home and get back into alignment. Nope. You need to be someone, if you're dating my ass, who contributes to the alignment I have. And that's a tall order. And that is an order I will never, what's the word I want? Diminish the value of again, because spirit and my peace is the core of my entire life. It's the most important thing to me. It's the thing I've spent my entire life building, and it matters to me above all else, because I spent way too many minutes in this lifetime having no peace at all and a lot of torment. And I have like a very strong demand within myself that I'm not going back there. So may that be some kind of inspiration to you, that you could choose that. If you chose to have that, that would be the value of staying on your healing path. Okay, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. Let's see if you have any questions about parts work. I feel like there's something we haven't gotten to that I'm only going to get to if you ask about it. So what questions do you guys have about parts work? Let's see. Allison says, thank you for this. You're awesome. Thank you, honey. I appreciate you. I'm only awesome if you're here to watch me be awesome. I don't exist without you. You're the mirror of my reality. Every time you say part, I go to body parts. That's funny. I understand it's not body parts, but I wonder if those parts need work. I think you're doing bits. This is a joke. These are jokes. Ha 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 ha. Is that what you wanted? You're a delight. All right. Does anyone have a question about this? Facebook user is Jeff Rubin. Thank you, Leslie, for letting me know. Cool. Questions about parts work. And please, you guys, any questions about anything? Questions about healing, questions about spirit and parts work, questions about yourself, questions about the journey. Okay, Christina says, not a joke. Really feelings in body. I think I don't understand. Can you frame this as a question again in a different way? I understand it's not body parts, but I wonder if those parts need work. I think I don't understand the question. So let's try to frame it a different way because I do want to answer it. Mercedes, hi, how are you? Great question. Is parts work similar to soul retrieval? Okay. It's similar in the sense that when you reintegrate a part through parts work, you feel more whole. And when we bring a soul piece back that left, we feel more whole. But it's quite different in the following way. Parts work, as far as I've seen it so far, is parts of self that get exiled inside of the body. So I would exile a part over here inside my back or in my neck or in my head somewhere. Soul retrieval is when a part of the soul literally leaves the body and goes out of the body into another sort of dimensional space. And we call that soul part back into the body. So it's similar in that it's a part of self that leaves connection with the whole entirety of self. But it's different in that soul retrieval requires that we pull back a piece of the soul that left the body, whereas parts work is working with parts that are exiled in the body. Does that make sense, Mercedes? Let me know. So in a way, similar, but it's a very different process. And I'm glad you asked that because oftentimes when I'm leading my healing classes or healing circles, or even just with private clients, there'll be a moment inside the healing where they're like, okay, now we're doing a soul retrieval. Okay, cool. I'm glad that makes sense, Mercedes. And with a soul retrieval, I'll just basically say, okay, all parts of soul, all the pieces of self that left this person's body or everybody in this class or this healing's bodies because of this trauma, because it was too scary to be in the body, we invite them back. We open ourselves to receive a soul retrieval now. And then these parts of self drop in. Usually people describe that sensation when the parts come back through a soul retrieval as the person will say, oh, I feel heavy all of a sudden. And it's the difference. This is the kind of heaviness of like embodiment, what it feels like to be embodied again in a place inside yourself where a piece of your soul left. So it feels very kind of light and spacious because it's fucking empty. And then you bring that soul piece back and then cocoon, there can be a real sense of like, oh my God, I feel like a dense 3-dimensional body, whereas before I didn't. And that's a pretty cool feeling. Whereas I find that integrating parts feels more, doing the parts work is more like soft, and there's usually some tears, and there's a quiet sense of wholeness and peace. That feels like a space gets filled in, but then also lightened. It's really very cool. All right. Thank you for that question. That was a really great question, Mercedes. Christina says, if I have a constant source of pain in my body, could that be where the part of me that, oh, I see, has been exiled to exist? Yes. Like where the feelings are actually stored. Of course. That's what we've done in every healing class you've ever been in with me. That's why I say start with where the pain is. 100,000,000% yes. More than likely, in fact. So sometimes, Christina, that kind of pain needs to be dissolved through, because it's a piece of resistance, and we would clear the polarities of the resistance, right? Like we've done. Or sometimes we can just bring light to it and you cry and it moves. But other times we have to let it talk with words as if it is a part, as if it is a being, as if it has a voice. And we need to let it emote. So absolutely. In fact, the next time we work together, let's do some parts work and see if the part of your back or wherever your body is hurting is holding an exiled part of self. I would love to do that with you. That'd be a delight. This reminds me, you guys, I feel like I'm going to forget this if I don't say it now. I have a class starting not this Friday. What's today? Wednesday. Not Friday the 8th, but next Friday the 15th. It's what used to be my Sunday healing class is now on Fridays from 1 to 3 Eastern time. And then you get 2 private sessions with me. So it's a 4-week class, 4 Fridays, 1 to 3. And then you get 2 private 50-minute sessions within the 4 weeks. So it's like a healing intensive over 4 weeks. It's really powerful. $475 for the 4 weeks, whereas one private session is $250. So it's a really great deal. So join us. We do a lot of parts work. We do whatever work your body needs. And we're starting on the 15th. You're all invited. Okay. Cindy says, I was going to forget that if I didn't say it now. Today, I made a connection between a sacral block today, and I think it moved to behind my heart in my back. Is integrating through my heart and love make it easier to integrate? Yes. Or does it work through the back of my neck and my throat? Because at times that will feel tight. I don't think I understand the question exactly, Cindy, but I can answer this part. If you want to say that a different way, I'd like to understand better, but I can say this. Anytime you integrate love or spirit or the divine into your healing process, like I said a moment ago, it exponentializes the depth and the degree of healing. So yes, integrate love and spirit every time. But if there's more I'm not touching on there because I'm not understanding the question, if you could ask it a different way, that would help me a ton. It's my pleasure, Mercedes. Thank you. Rahima, is anger always a protector part? Such a good question. And what's the difference between rage and anger for me? She said, for you, I have this feeling while I have COVID. Son of a bitch. I'm sorry you're fucking dealing with fucking COVID. God fucking damn it. Jesus Christ. So that was me being angry on your behalf. And that is not a protector part. Answering your question with an energy. Yeah. So I'll talk about it in a second. I have this feeling while I have COVID of my skin crawling up my spine and wondering if it's rage. Sure feels like it to me. No, anger is not always a protector part. Definitely not. Okay, gosh, there's so much to say about anger. When we get good at letting the protector parts of the past express, let's say in parts work sessions, we start to, it's sort of like it sets a template for anger to be an okay feeling. Anger is an indication that something is not as we would prefer it, and or something is not just, and or something is not in alignment with spirit. Spirit wants us all happy, joyous, and free. So when you get COVID, I get mad because you're not getting to be happy, joyous, and free. You're having a moment of pain. So I'm like, no, reality, I say no to this on behalf of my friend. And then quite quickly, because I let myself be angry, world of spiritual people who all think anger is wrong, I can much more easily let that anger process through me, pass through. And then I come back to surrender, like, okay, COVID's happening for Rahima and we surrender and it's happening. But if I do that thing that so many spiritual people do with my anger, where I go, I shouldn't be angry, I should be in acceptance. Watch, I am pushing it down in order to have acceptance. Now it starts to like build up over here. The more we push anger down and have kind of like an unconscious rule in our psyche that anger is not okay, we build us more and more anger inside of ourselves. When you can let anger move, however that is for you, and everybody's going to be different depending on your personality type. So I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. 8s on the Enneagram, we are external expressors, but not every type is that way. A 9 doesn't express the way an 8 does. A 1 doesn't express the way an 8 does. A 2 certainly does not express the way an 8 does. We all express and process our anger differently. So whatever your way is, whether it's just feeling into it and crying for a while, or whatever it looks like, doesn't matter. But what matters is that it has a way out and through, and it doesn't get taught that it has to go bye-bye and get exiled. Then what happens is we get better and better at just letting it up and through, letting it up and through. And then once you can let it up and through, you can start to learn when are the times when it's appropriate to kind of use the energy and the engine of anger to serve your higher self. Let me come up with an example of that. let me come up with an example of this. I think here's an example. At a certain point in my life, I got really angry about how I was being treated by, let's be real, my mom. And for so many years before that, my narrative to myself was, I just have to accept her for who she is. And we just, the spiritual way is we just accept her. I can't change her. I was going to a lot of Al-Anon and I was misunderstanding some of the teachings of Al-Anon. And I was like, she is who she is. And I used she is who she is as a justification to let her fucking beat me up. I was a doormat. And then I realized because some people who were helping me gave me permission to be mad about it. And I realized, oh my God, if I let myself be mad about it, all of a sudden I am willing to set boundaries. My anger said, fuck you for talking to me that way. And then I didn't say to her necessarily, fuck you for talking to me that way. But because I felt like fuck you for talking to me that way, which is anger, I knew over here from my higher self that I needed to set a healthy boundary. Hey, I said to her, when you talk to me this way, it makes me feel really angry. And underneath that is a lot of like feeling like you don't respect me. So I need you to not talk to me that way. Do you see how I don't have to rage back at her, but my anger was educating me about where I needed a boundary. Anger is always trying to educate us about something. Somebody has crossed a line. Something is unjust here. When we get angry at Roe v. Wade, that's not necessarily a protector part. That's like, this is unjust from our point of view. Our point of view as liberals is you don't get to tell me what to do with my body. My body is my body. It's not your fucking job to tell me what to fucking do with it. But am I going to stay in that anger and let it seethe inside me and let it be the driving force of I'm not gonna. I'm going to feel it, acknowledge it, and then ask myself, what's the most peaceful way to take action towards the self-care I need that my anger is showing me? My anger is showing me something true, a boundary that's been crossed, something unjust that's happening. And it's showing me a need that I have inside myself that is not getting met. So the question becomes, how do I get this need met? We often think there's two personality types. Like, I'll act out my anger at you and that'll get the need met. Often doesn't work. Or I'll internalize the anger against myself and that'll get the need met. That doesn't work. Instead, what we need to do is you have to think of anger as like a red flag. Hey, I'm feeling angry. Something's wrong. And then you inquire within yourself, what's wrong? Am I being mistreated? Do I believe I'm being mistreated, but I'm not? Is my past up for processing? Has somebody crossed the boundary? What need emotionally is not getting met for me? And how can I get it met? Sometimes we get it met through our connection with spirit. Sometimes we get it met through having a conversation with someone and stating our needs and asking for them to be met. Sometimes we get it met by going and meeting it ourselves. It depends on the situation at hand. But anger is always trying to show us something inside of ourselves is off because somebody is behaving in a way that isn't working for us. So you've got to get clear about what is the need under the anger. I hope that is helpful, Rahima. Let me know if you have more on that. Is it rage, that skin crawling up thing for her? Yes. Is it something else? I don't get a yes. I think it's rage. Chris Moore, and please let me know, Rahima, if you have more on that. I'd love to hear more. Chris Moore says, so are you saying that acknowledging the pain in the part and showing light on it will integrate it? Okay, good. Or am I simplifying this? Okay, Chris, what I would say to that is, Chris Moore. Do I know you, Chris Moore? I can't place who you are. Remind me how we know each other. But lovely to have you. Welcome. That is it in essence. Yes. It's a little more of a complicated process in the moment because essentially what we're doing is we're connecting with the part that is in pain, either angry or sad or rageful or confused or lost or scared. Parts can feel any feelings. It's not always anger or sadness. It can be anything. And so when we make contact with first we have to make contact with the part so it feels met. Waking the Sleepers and Healing Group. Oh, hey, how's it going? Chris Moore. I got it. Anyway, so we make contact with the part. Then we have to give the part full permission through the contact we've made with it to express and feel. And as it gets to fully express and feel, it integrates up and grows into the size of and the age of your current adult self. And what I said at the beginning of today's talk was that integrating the divine light transmission into meeting it with our conscious attention exponentializes the multidimensionality of that healing and that reintegration process. Does that make sense? And do you have more questions? And please ask them, Chris Moore. Good, Cindy. I'm so glad that example was hitting home. Yeah, totally. Anything else on that, Chris, or did that make sense? And does anyone else have a question on the topic of parts work? How does it work? Spiritual healing, how does that work? Any of it? What other questions do we have? And I'm just checking my Facebook to be sure. I'm not missing any questions there. Sometimes I'm still kind of learning how this StreamYard thing that we use works. Okay, let's see. Chris Moore says, that's awesome. I understand. Awesome. It makes total sense. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Cool. Other questions? Rahima, did that cover everything you were asking? And any other folks have any questions on this? Okay, I think I'll wait for your questions. We're going to stay here till 6:30. And I'm just like, there's something psychic that wants to happen. Let's see. Do we want to open the records? No. We want to pull cards. Yes. Okay, we're going to pull cards for this group. Do we want to take some questions? No. All right. Is this the deck? Yes. Okay. So please feel free to throw any questions you guys have, but I'm also going to pull a 3-card spread from my favorite Enchanted Map Oracle deck for this group, because I'm just getting that that's what wants to happen here. And the question I'm sitting with is like, what does this group need to hear? What spiritual guidance can you give this group? Spirit, we're asking. Wisdom, guidance, and direction for this group. And Cindy says, can we do a card reading? And we are doing a card reading. Are these the cards? Yes. Okay, that was easy. All right, I'm pulling a 3-card spread for this group, you guys. Ugh, it's so funny. Oh, beautiful and wonderful, and I love it so much. Okay. All right, we're going to wrap up today. Rahima says, very helpful. Thank you. I had a good experience yesterday where I let myself express that I was angry, and then immediately, oh my God, I'm so happy to hear this. And then immediately was able to set a boundary. In the past, I would have been not allowed. Yes. Girl. Oh my God, girl. I'm so happy for you. That is the deal. When we let ourselves feel what we're angry about, we learn what is not okay here. So many women do this too in dating. They go like, he seems like he's not available, but like, I don't want to be mad and I don't want to judge him. So like, he's just not, I'm not going to judge him, to let it be okay. And then they go ahead and date that person and they never talk about the thing that made them angry and they never admit that they're angry. And guess what? 3 years later in the relationship, they're still angry about it and they've never dealt with it, or they break up because of it. When if you were to admit to yourself, I'm fucking pissed about this, it would show you, what do you need to communicate with that person about? Hey, I was really bummed when you said you couldn't hang out Thursday because I thought we were going to hang out. Now I feel disappointed. Can we hang out Friday? But if you pretend you're not angry, then some need that is behind the anger is never, ever, ever fucking ever gonna get met. Anger's trying to tell us stuff. All right, let's look at the 3-card spread. Thank you, Trey Hart, for saying I'm cute. I'm also wise and aware, and this is a spiritual healing group. So feel free to ask some maybe deeper questions than, no, you cannot have my number. Leslie, can you go ahead and block that person? Thank you. By the way, we had someone else come on here and call me honey and sweetie and baby, and we blocked that motherfucker. Do not come on to what are you doing? What kind of weird? There was some guy coming on here every week calling me honey, and it was just like, I was going to give him the respect to be like, hey, so I was going to privately message him and be like, hey, so when you call me honey, it feels infantilizing and I'm a spiritual teacher and it's not really appropriate. Would you mind stopping? But we had no way to like get in touch with that person directly. So we just blocked him because this is not a format for that. This is not a moment to flirt with a stranger. This is a moment to take spiritual direction and learn a thing. Thanks, Leslie. I appreciate you. Okay, so Christina says, I need to work on the peaceful way to express my needs. Absolutely. It always seems to come out sideways. I totally hear that. There's a lot to say about that. And what we should do is talk about nonviolent communication a little more. I've given you some of those tools already. Oh boy. Can you block all these people, Leslie, as we're talking about? Oh, okay. I see. People are talking to each other about this now. See, this is part of why you just block these people, because now there's a chat going on that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, because someone wanted to bring in that kind of energy. It's like so shitty. Already blocked him. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. All right, let's carry forth with what we're doing here. We have a 3-card spread, and I'm going to pull it up right now. So nonviolent communication will help you with that, Christina, but also like there's something for you about there's needs not being met, and they haven't been met for so long, Christina, by yourself. You have devalued the needs for so long that now whenever the outside source of not meeting them does the thing that they do, husband, friend, partner, work, people, whatever, whenever they do the thing that doesn't meet your need, you are so mad about it because you have been abandoning this part of self that had this need for so long that it's very hard to be kind about it because you've been abandoning this part for a really long time. So we need to do a little parts work to get that part integrated so you're less mad when you go to communicate to the person about it. So we want to educate you on your nonviolent communication, how to communicate in a loving way a little bit more fully, but really we need to do some parts work also to integrate this level of anger that is so high because of how long you've been tamping it down and tamping it down and tamping it down. This goes back to exactly the conversation we started today with, which was the longer you push it down, the more anger you have in your body. So there you have it. Thank you so much, Mercedes. I so appreciate you. Thank you, Blowing Smoke with Twisted. Rico, what a name. I don't ever like being called honey by anyone. Yeah, no, definitely not. It's like so not what I'm about. All right, your 3-card spread. The recent past. We have the Unexpected Visitors card. I love this card so much. We're going to talk about it. The present moment is the details card. Not always my favorite card, I'll be honest with you, in terms of preferences. Not my favorite. Outcome card is the magic stream. The 1 and the 8. These are my magic numbers. It's the magic stream. I love it so much. Okay. So in the recent past, for this group of people, we have each been confronted with something like this. Unexpected visitors. Detours, surprises, and paradigm shifts. Expect the unexpected. No matter how detailed your plans are and how clear you believe the road ahead to be, there are times when the best plans are waylaid by unforeseen circumstances. At first, detours may seem inconvenient, but a surprise turn of events signals that the adventure of life is beginning to get interesting. No one can plan for synchronicity, for fate and destiny to meet, except spirit, who knows what you can't comprehend for now. Life is full of surprises, so stay on your toes and enjoy this exciting new adventure you weren't expecting. There is a plan for your life that may not match up with your agenda. All right. Recent past, unexpected visitors. Is that resonating for anyone? Throw it in the chat. What's the unexpected visitor in your life that has shown up? A detour, a surprise, a new direction, something that's shown up in the recent past for you. Let's throw those in the chat if anything comes to mind. And that detour showed up, the unexpected visitor showed up, in the present moment. We're in the details moment. The most powerful patterns are created within the tiniest details. Pay attention. Don't I know that one? This is the time to be aware of the fine print in all areas of your life. Look at the details and leave the broad strokes for another time. When this card appears in a reading, it's assigned to finesse a project, make small but meaningful gestures, or add a personal touch to your correspondence. Be aware that what you need to know lies in the details. If you're entering into an agreement of any kind, pay attention to them before, not after, when it's too late. Clarity and transparency are key. You can gain great understanding by observing the minute body language, offhand remarks, and fleeting facial expressions that reveal the larger picture. So details, be aware that what you need to know lies in the details. If you're entering an agreement, pay attention to them before, not after, when it's too late. Gosh, how many of us run into that in the spiritual path where people like to be like, whatever, it's all cool. We're all groovy and cool. And then you realize afterwards, oh, fuck, definitely not so cool. Okay, and the outcome is the Magic Stream card. I love the Magic Stream so much. Let me show it to you again. The Magic Stream. Everything is connected through the universal flow of consciousness. Every experience you have seems to have its own life story, with a beginning, a middle, and eventually an end. However, there is danger in seeing events as separate from one another, since in fact they are all part of a continuity and a greater evolution. Like an ever-flowing magic stream, your experiences filter through the whole world, one leading into another, informing and influencing still more. Inspiration, invention, and revelations rarely come to just one person. The collective awareness is a shared storehouse of potential. When you remember you're part of the fluid continuity of life, you become a channel for great inspiration. Allow the magic to flow through you and carry your dreams into reality. Your success will benefit many. So we are part of the continuity of all things. And we like to think of ourselves, it's like, I'm over here just living my life, making my choices. It doesn't affect other people. It sure fucking does. So some kind of unexpected detour or visitor has entered your life. That clown who just came onto our chat and was flirting with me inappropriately. So I paid attention in the moment to the detail of that, the tone of his voice, the way he was talking to me. I could have been vague about it and been like, what a nice man, saying compliment. No. I heard what he was doing. Not okay. So I spoke up for it. And that affected the magic stream of everything, which is I mirrored, or that's not the modeled for you guys, having a very clear boundary that came out of feeling my anger. Do you see the magic of what's happening right now? The very thing we're talking about with Rahima's question, I just modeled it for you. I felt anger in response to this dude, Trey Hart, inappropriately commenting about me, flirting with me in this thing. So if I made my anger wrong, I wouldn't have set a boundary. Instead, I set a boundary. I paid attention to the details of how he was talking to me. And I was very clear, no. And that is me modeling for you, which affects, I'm a part of the magic stream. I'm a part of the flow, the continuity of all reality. Boom. We just watched it happen in present time. So something to reflect on for yourself. What are the unexpected visitors in your reality? What details need paying attention to? And how is that going to affect the magic stream of the great continuity of your interconnectedness with everybody in your life? I love you guys. You guys are the best. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions and your attention and your care and your investment in your own healing and your own awakening and your own truth and your own boundaries and yourself. You and the divine are one. The more healing work we do, the more whole we become. Remember, you can join us Fridays starting the 15th of July for a 4-week healing intensive from 1 to 3 Eastern time. You get 2 private healing sessions, 50 minutes each with myself. We will integrate EFT, parts work, your human design chart, divine light transmission, psychic answers to your questions every single week. So come join us. And here, I'll put in the comments, you can Venmo to hold your spot. And that's $4.75, which you will send to @Katie the Rubin on Venmo, or just go to katierubin.com and pay for highest level healing. That's the name of the class. And then you'll get all the login info. It's been a delight to be here with you guys. Thank you so much. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Take care of yourselves and have a good night. Bye.